will the Minister agree that the service of a Member of Parliament, for each of us, all of us, past, present, and I dare say for the future, involves the sacrifice of considerable income available from our existing businesses, professions, etc. And in that circumstance, where is the equity in placing us within the general warp of civil service salaries, when in fact what we are doing is not like the ordinary public servant whose increases I have no objection to where productivity and other circumstances are in place. But will the Minister not recognize that there needs to be a special category having regard to the loss of income that most of us, if not all of us, experience as a result of offering ourselves for service in this Parliament? And since that is irrefutable, will the Minister acknowledge and will the government concede that we need to be placed in a particular category, as used to be the case, Mr. Speaker, when our salaries were related to permanent secretaries rather than in the general order of things? Will the Minister agree that there is an issue of fairness and justice that is that is applicable in these circumstances? I will have other questions when he answers.
The peculiarities of a Member of Parliament and the fact that a Member of Parliament often gives up, or the word used was sacrifices, considerable income and the ability to participate in other income-generating activities, and whether there ought to be a special category for Members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I'll say sort of two broad things on that. The first is that as the Minister of Finance and Public Service, and having the need and experience to dialogue with bargaining units across the public sector, all 40 bargaining units in central government, and all 50, 60, 70 in the public bodies, or more, one thing that you'll find is that everybody is special. Right? Every category of employee, public sector employee, can tell you why what they do is like no one else and why it is special. The police will tell you that they are in harm's way. The teachers will tell you that you wouldn't be here without them. The judges will tell you that they can't work after retirement, and so on. There are peculiarities, and the Member of Parliament has the peculiarities that you mentioned. So I don't think we can, I don't know if we can take the Members of Parliament out as a special. All categories are special, but in the compensation review that we're undertaking, the ideal is to have the various levels of compensation in the public sector have a relationship to each other that accords with some kind of natural justice. There are some responsibilities that are probably more burdensome than others, and in the compensation review we want to ensure that there is an alignment across the public sector and a consistency across the public sector. And in that compensation review, Members of Parliament, like other members paid by the state, their compensation will be reviewed and due consideration given to the role that they play in the society. The follow-up to that part of the question was on issues of fairness and justice, and again, that is wrapped up in the answer I just gave, that within the envelope of available resources, the compensation review is seeking to, from a benchmark and a platform of equity and fairness, have the best possible sort of allocation for public sector compensation that has the property of consistency and fairness within professions and within occupations, within ministries, departments and agencies, and across professions, occupations, ministries, departments and agencies.
Will the Minister accept that there's a fallacy in the argument about compensation and across the board in respect of parliamentarians? No other public servant takes a loss as a result of his or her public service. Every member of this House is taking home, if he does his or her duty properly, which is a full-time occupation, more than a full-time occupation for anyone who does it conscientiously. No one of us is not taking a loss as to the other earnings that we might have. That distinguishes us from all other of the instances that the minister accepts or recites, and as a result requires particular injustice, in natural justice, minister, requires special attention. That's the first point. Secondly, you know, there's an underlying element, will the minister accept, Mr. Speaker, in all of this. We parliamentarians, past, present, on both sides, have become hostages to our own self-contempt. It's time to stop that. That which we do is worthwhile. There is no other public servant that has the level of responsibility in law and in fact as members of parliament do. And if you devalue that, you open the door to that which oftentimes is alleged, that of corruption. Some of our members right now in this House are being unjustly alleged for corrupt activities because it is assumed that we are all wealthy people being lauded by the public purse, and that if that is not so, we are on the take in some respect. Mr. Speaker, that is not a situation that inures to good government. And the reason I brought these questions and the reason I point out the fundamental fallacy which I put in question form to the minister is because that is ineluctably so and must be corrected now. Mr. Speaker, it is unjust for us to treat ourselves this way. And it is unjust for the public to expect that the persons who serve here, many of them at great sacrifice, all of them at great sacrifice, should be made paupers in our subsequent iterations of life, dependent upon our families, trying to restore lost earnings, thankless in all respects. Mr. Speaker, I commend morally and economically the improvement of our health facilities, health insurance, and also the immediate, may I change that, timely review of the remuneration on the basis of the principles of the questions I have asked the minister.